Good day, everyone. Hope all of you are well, and welcome back to yet another lesson with the same Mr. Mohana. Hope all of you are well. And for today, we are going to look at a simple way on how to develop ideas for continuous writing, particularly on writing narrative essays. You see, in the previous video, I shared a narrative essay, and while sharing the essay, I shared some ideas on how you can develop vocabulary and grammar and plot for narrative writing. So, and after that, I received quite a number of emails asking me some tips or to share further on how to develop ideas for continuous writing, particularly narrative. So for today's lesson, we are going to look at some tips. Okay, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to develop simple ideas. Or I may not say simple ideas because I'm going to share some A-plus work here. So we are going to look at simple ways to develop an A-plus paragraph. Okay, for that we are going to, today I'm not going to share with you any long essays. I'm just going to share with you some simple paragraphs and how you can improvise those paragraphs to become better. So from this idea, you would be able to understand what is expected of you when you write an essay in SPM if you want to get an A+. Okay, are you ready? Let's get started. Alright, this is a checklist for narrative writing. When you're writing a narrative essay, bear in mind you have to know the tenses that you're going to use. A lot of essays, especially when you're writing narrative, the tenses should be either in past tense or past tense where it is followed by past perfect and past continuous. Okay, tenses that are related to the past. If you are narrating something that happened in the past, keep this in mind. If you're writing story that happened like last week, last month, 2 months ago, these ideas supposed to be developed in past tense. Unless you have a mixture of some ideas that you want to relate what have the consequences of your past actions in the present, so you may include the ideas in simple present tense. So keep focused, okay, on the tenses that you are using. Okay, keep in mind when to use the past tense and simple present tense. Okay, now how do you know what are the tenses that you're supposed to use when you write essay? And of course, you should know the differences between the use of past tense or tenses that are related to the past and tenses that are related to the present, so that you will be able to use them. Without understanding these tenses, you will get them mixed up. So with SPM just around the corner, this is one last thing that you can do. Make sure you get the tenses right. Go and study all the exercises that you have done before and get all the tenses right so that you know how to differentiate the past tense and the present tense. At the same time, you can also go back to all the essays that I've shared with you, and you may actually do an analysis on what tenses that I've used in those essays and take note of the tenses, and you may write down the sentences that I've used in those essays, and you can do a simple analysis what are the tenses that have been used in the essays. Okay, that would be good for you rather than just doing some exercises. Alright, now when you're writing narrative essay, you should use a mixture of short and long sentences. For example, simple, compound, and complex sentences. Next, you need to have a combination of tenses, past, present, continuous. Okay, I have talked about tenses long enough, so I'm not going to talk about it again. And you need to have a mixture of sentence type. You need to have a direct and indirect speech. I think I have already shared about what direct and indirect speech in my previous video, so please check it out. Okay, and you need to have a rich, varied, and descriptive sentences. Okay, and if you want to have a rich and descriptive sentences, you need to use the hit-on vocabulary. Now, your vocabulary, coming back to vocabulary, should be vivid. Okay, effective repetition. Remember, effective repetition, how you want to use the repetition. Do not use the same words to repeat the ideas. Try to use a variety of words. That makes your repetition effective. And you may also use double and triple emphasis. Okay, double and triple emphasis I have also shared in my previous videos. You can check them out. Okay, and be precise with your vocabulary. Show some emotions. Okay, be creative in the use of idioms, proverbs, and phrasal verbs. Now, keep in mind that the use of idioms and proverbs, not necessarily your essay is a good essay when you have a lot of idioms and proverbs in your essays. Okay, a lot of students have this misconception that when you use a lot of idioms, if you use a lot of proverbs, meaning to say you will get more scores. Keep in mind that overuse of idioms and proverbs, especially when they are irrelevant to the essay, will cause your marks to be deducted. Okay, keep that in mind, yeah. So use idioms and proverbs only when it is relevant in your essays. And of course, accuracy in punctuation is also very important. Now that is about vocabulary. Now look at this sentence. Amina was very angry. Okay, Amina was very angry. Okay, this is one sentence that we can actually develop into a creative idea. We can develop into a paragraph. Now, you look at this sentence. Amina was very angry. Okay, if you look at this paragraph, Amina was very angry. She looked at her friend angrily. She shouted at her friend angrily. She walked out of the office angrily. She closed the door angrily. And she started her car and drove angrily. Now, if you see in this paragraph, I have used the word angry. Okay, I have used the word angry quite a number of times. Okay, angry became angrily. Now, what are the words that you can actually use to describe Amina's anger? Now, this is one common thing that students do a lot of times when it comes to writing. They do not know a variety of vocabulary, so they repeat the same idea again and again and again, just like how I have shown here an example of the word angry used to describe Amina's anger. Now you look at this. So if you want to change the word angrily, you have to think. Now look at the actions. Amina looked, she shouted, she walked, she closed the door angrily. She started her car and drove angrily. Now, if you look at these sentences, okay, when somebody looked, okay, what is a phrase or a word that you can use to describe somebody is looking at something angrily? Okay, when somebody shouts angrily, what word, a specific word that you can use? Okay, walked out angrily, walked. Okay, what is a very specific word that we can use to show that the person is actually walking angrily? Now, keep thinking as I'm talking here, yeah? So, if you can get the right word to describe Amina's anger here based on her action, looked, shouted, walked, closed the door and started her car, okay, you do not need to use the word angrily repeatedly. Okay, now let me show you an example here. Okay, grabbing a key, she stormed out, slamming the door closed. She jumped into her car, started the engine, and was set to leave. I will never trust you again, she barked at him at the top of her lungs. She was shaking like a leaf. Her whole body quivered with an uncontrollable rage. Salty warm tears streamed down her pale soft cheeks, only stopping when they reached her swollen dry lips. Her foot stomped onto the small accelerator, tires squealing as she sped away, leaving an odor of burnt rubber lingering in the air. Okay, now you look at this paragraph. Okay, she stomped out, slamming the door. That describes anger. She stomped out, slamming the door, closing the door. Instead of saying closing the door, I used the word slam to show Amina was angry. You see, I will never trust you again. She barked at him at the top of her lungs. Remember in the earlier paragraph, I said she shouted. So I changed this idea, shouted, to she barked at him at the top of her lungs. She was shaking like a leaf. Her whole body quivered with an uncontrollable rage. Okay, salty warm tears streamed down her pale soft cheeks, meaning to say she had kind of a mixed emotion where she was shivering and at the same time there was tears rolling down. Okay, and her foot stomped onto the small accelerator. Okay, her foot stomped onto the small accelerator. It's actually a description of how she started a car. Okay, so this whole paragraph describes Amina's anger. The same idea here has been rewritten using a variety of phrases and a variety of ideas. Now, if you look at this idea here, okay, I did not use any difficult words. Okay, any student can deal with this idea as long as you read this idea repeatedly and try to write on your own. You will be able to handle this idea very well. Okay, so this is just a small paragraph. Okay, and you can actually further extend it and make it into a story. Okay, I'm just giving you an idea how you can actually develop idea using the idea Amina was very angry alone. Okay, and this is actually using a very general idea of how you can actually describe Amina's anger. Okay, now we are going to look at this sentence here. Ali was extremely happy because his father bought a smartphone for his birthday. Ali was extremely happy because his father bought a smartphone for his birthday. Now, we are going to develop this idea into a short paragraph based on some questions. Okay, we build questions and we develop ideas based on the questions that we have built based on this statement. Now, let us look at the questions here. Okay, the first question, how happy was Ali? Now, when I say how happy was Ali, some of you might say very happy, extremely happy. Now, what are the ways to show that the level of happiness? Okay, if you see happiness, I'm showing you this. Okay, low level of happiness, and it reaches to the highest level of happiness. And when you reach to the pinnacle of happiness here, what word or phrases that you can use that you are at the height of happiness? Okay, the highest height of happiness. Okay, if you are just happy, you can be at the lowest level of happiness. Ali was happy. Right? Now, so how happy was Ali? Think about it. And in the sentence here, I said extremely happy, meaning to say the level of happiness must be very high. So think of a way of how are you going to develop Ali's happiness here. Idea on Ali's happiness here. Okay, next. How did he express his happiness? Did he hug his father? Was tears of happiness rolling down his cheeks? You know, all these expressions. Okay, so how did he express his happiness to his father? And what did he say to show that he was happy? Was it just like, thank you, father, for the smartphone? Is that all? You know, you have to bring these ideas. Okay, is that all? And the next one, what was his body language that indicated his happiness? Did he jump in excitement? Okay, you know, jumping in excitement is a kind of a body language that you can add in. Now, based on these 4 questions, you may actually pause this video and try to work on writing some ideas that comes to your mind before we look at a paragraph on how this idea can actually be developed. Okay, you may pause the video now, or else I will just continue with the next paragraph. Okay, now you look at this. I took a deep breath, feeling like a kite taking to the sky. Tears of joy welled up my eyes. I was utterly speechless. My lips could not stop forming a wide smile, showing my white teeth the entire morning. Hugging my father, I promised, I will take good care of this precious gift like I protect my own life. Okay, I took a deep breath, feeling like a kite taking to the sky. Tears of joy welled up my eyes. I was utterly speechless. My lips could not stop forming a wide smile, showing my white teeth the entire morning. Hugging my father, I promised, I will take good care of this precious gift like I protect my own life. Now, you can see actions here, you can see expressions here, you can see what are the feeling here. Now, let us look at the first sentence. I took a deep breath, feeling like a kite taking to the sky. Happiness. Tears of joy welled up my eyes. Okay, also indication tears of happiness. Utterly speechless, meaning to say you were so happy that you were speechless. My lips could not stop forming a wide smile. And one action here, hugging my father. Okay, so did I use any word, for example, the word happy in this paragraph to show that the character I was happy in this paragraph? No. Okay, the word happy was not used at all in this paragraph, but you can actually say this whole paragraph is describing how happy Ali was, right? Just looking at all the phrases that indicate happiness that I have used in this paragraph, right? Now, let us look at this. I was late to school. My teacher told me off. Okay, now this is one statement that we are going to develop, and the possible ideas that you can consider to write a short paragraph based on this sentence would be, or this statement would be, okay, a few questions that I have built here. Were you running to school because you were late? How did you feel? Anxious? Worried? Okay, how angry was your teacher? Okay, or was your teacher angry? Okay, I'm starting with the question, was your teacher angry? And how angry was your teacher? Okay, just like the earlier paragraph, you have level of happiness. Here, we are talking about the angry teacher or your anxiousness, the level of your anxiousness. If it's your first time being late, probably your level of anxiousness low. If you are late for the umpteenth time, meaning to say your level of anxiousness must be higher. Same goes to your teacher. If this is your first time, your teacher would have let you go just with a warning. But this is your probably a fifth or sixth time you are late in just a month. So probably your teacher would have some sort of anger, especially if you do not give any excuse, a proper reason for you to come late. So how angry was your teacher? So I'm just putting here the anger. I'm going to describe the teacher's anger in my paragraph. But if you want to build this plot, you can actually describe your teacher's anger. Now, did you say anything to your teacher? Now, what did you say to your teacher? Did you apologize, or did you give a reason, or did you give the same excuse that you gave yesterday? So I'm giving you three options here. Okay, did you apologize to your teacher? Or did you give a reason to your teacher for being late? Or did you actually give some silly reason to your teacher for being late that made your teacher angrier? Right? Okay, so these are the possible questions that you can build based on this statement, so that you can actually write a longer plot. Okay, based on just a statement here. Now let us look at how you can actually put in the ideas. Now I have put in the idea for this statement in 4 categories. First, action. Second, a dialogue with action. Third, I add a simile. And again, I add a dialogue. Okay, and the last one with a dialogue and a statement there. Now let us look at action. Panting deeply, I lunged at the closing school gate and headed straight to the classroom. Instead of saying headed straight to the classroom, you can just say ran straight to the classroom. Okay, now dialogue with an action. Made it! I wiped my dripping sweat with my sleeves and fanned myself with my hands. Okay, because you ran, okay, you were sweating and you felt hot. Okay, simile. And fanned myself with my hands like a bird with a broken wing, trying desperately to cool down. You are late again. Okay, this is a dialogue, and with whom or from whom this dialogue coming from? Okay, probably the teacher. With tears brimming in my eyes and face turning red, I stuttered. I'm sorry, teacher. I won't let it happen again. Okay, so this whole paragraph here is built very simple. Okay, based on these 4 questions that I've used. Okay, first, you reached the school, how you reached the school, and what were your actions. Next, I used the simile to show the actions that you were doing, and then your teacher's action or your teacher's dialogue, and your actions and your response to your teacher's statement. Okay, now, so if you look at this, this is one way for you to develop your ideas. Now, it's very important for you before you start writing your essay to think carefully how you want to build your plot. Okay, and before you start building your plot, think of all the necessary phrases, words, or sentences, tenses that you are going to use in building your plot, so that things will be easier for you. Before you start writing, just spend about 5 minutes. Just spend about 5 minutes to think what you're going to write. Okay, just scribble it on a piece of paper, your ideas. Whatever the ideas that you're going to put into your essay, you just scribble it down so that when you write your essay will be more organized. Okay, so this is one way that you can do to develop your writing skills, especially if you're planning to write a narrative writing, or if you're planning to write a story. I think that is all from me for today. Until I see you with my next lesson, signing off, Mohana.